Today we're joined by Mike Gaetke, a seasoned executive, secure facility subject matter expert, and former CEO of Adamo Security Group. Over a 40-year career, Mike has led over 500 accredited SCIF and SAPF projects supporting the DoD, the intel community, and major defense contractors worldwide. Mike, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So let's start with the journey in the secure world facility. What got you into this space and what's kept you in the secure facility world for over 4 decades?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. We were doing regular commercial industrial design construction, and a large defense company in San Diego, General Dynamics, had multiple campuses and things in San Diego, and we were doing regular commercial construction for them, and they asked us if we wanted to bid on design build of a SCIF project. Like, of course, sure. And then had to go back and find out what exactly that was. This was back in 1983. And we hired a consultant to help us through kind of a lot of what I'm doing today, helping other contractors learn. And so that consultant helped us through the project. We won it. It went really well. General Dynamics liked what we did. They started asking us to do other projects. Their customer was the Air Force. The Air Force got our number. They started having us do projects, and before we knew it, we're doing projects in Europe and all around the US, and it just kind of grew from there. And at some point in those early days, I was like, we're doing all this commercial industrial stuff, but this defense seems like a pretty good niche. And I literally said, we're gonna say no to all that stuff and do only this. So since about the late 80s, that's all we did up until I sold the company in 2020, but had a lot of years of putting together projects literally all around the world.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've seen over 500 different SCIF, SAPF projects. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you have seen has been the differentiator between a successful project and a project that doesn't meet accreditation at the end of the milestone.
Right. Yeah, the big differentiator is all the front end planning and paperwork. And, you know, if you've got proper design, pre-design, the fixed facility checklist, your construction security plan, and the AO is going to buy off on that and reviews it and gives you the green light, that's the key right there. And one of the things I found in the courses that I teach, the students, that's like a eye-opener for them, because they don't think about there's so much pre-planning and approvals that have to happen, and the government's designed the program that way so that the government makes sure you're building what they're going to accredit.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do breakdowns most often occur between design intent and field execution?
The breakdowns typically, I would say, are in when you have, even if you've got a good design, but you've got a general contractor who has never built one, doesn't really fully understand the requirements, doesn't really understand the level of detail, that's where things start to break down. I always say if you've got a site security manager with a high level of experience, your contractor doesn't need to be as experienced, but if the site security manager is not as experienced, you need to find that contractor who's got that experience, and that kind of fills in the gaps for that site security manager. But the best scenario, you got a knowledgeable site security manager, an experienced contractor, and you got a winning team right there.
That's definitely best case scenario. Yeah. You've now shifted from leading projects to shaping the next generation through education. As an instructor of the Lockmasters ICD 705 course, what knowledge gaps do you most commonly see among architects, engineers, and contractors entering this space today?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest knowledge gaps is that because a lot of the way that the tech spec is written, it's a if-then kind of scenario. If you have this situation, you apply this. If you don't have security in depth, you apply this. And there's all of that kind of decision making that has to be gone through, and a lot of that rests with the site security manager and the AO, you know, doing the risk management process, and the site security manager preparing the documents for the AO to approve. I mean, the students, a lot of them aren't aware of that whole process. Right. So, I mean, there's literally projects I could tell you where the facility did not get accredited A lot of money was spent, but they couldn't put the program in the facility ultimately because they didn't follow all of that front end work that needs to be done and approved and reviewed by the government.
Super important on the onset of this. So there's a difference between reading the standard and understanding how to apply it. When you teach the ICD 705 course, what core principles do you emphasize to the students to ensure that they understand compliance beyond simply memorizing the document?
Yeah, I think the important thing is that you have to be detail oriented, because there is just a lot of detail in these types of projects that you don't have to deal with in a standard commercial build out. So I'm always trying to reinforce this idea of following the process correctly, making sure you fill in all the details. I was talking to an accrediting official a while back, and I was asking him, what makes the difference between a project, really sailing through, get that accreditation quickly, and the difference of those that don't. And he said, literally, it's how clean of a package that they have of their paperwork. If he can look at that, he or she look at that document package, everything's clean, organized, well-referenced, and they can easily understand what you're trying to build. That gets approved much quicker. If it's a kind of jumbled mess, it just kind of goes to the corner of the desk and I'll deal with it later kind of thing. Yeah. So really the detail in your submittals and your fixed facility checklist, construction security plan, all of those things have to be really well done, well thought out, well organized. Just a critical difference.
Got you. Thank you. Thank you. The technical demands of secure facilities have evolved significantly, especially over the last 20 years. How has education had to evolve as projects become more complex, particularly with integrated shielded systems and increasing tempest considerations?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because there's been a lot of shift in that whole area. Back, in the 80s when I started in this, literally any electronic processing of SCI had to be done in a 6-sided shielded enclosure within the SCIF. So the shielding wasn't at the perimeter of the SCIF, there was actually an enclosure in the SCIF. So after the Cold War, early 90s, in the continental US, basically the requirement for shielding went away for the most part. There were always exceptions, but so the pendulum, was really hard to the shielding, very protective of electronic processing. It swung all the way the other way, and slowly it's just been swinging back to where we are today. But we're seeing a lot more emphasis on that as the technology to exploit those weaknesses has gotten cheaper and more available. And then also our adversaries. We have more varying adversaries. During the Cold War, we pretty much knew Russia and those allies of Russia were our adversaries. But today it's a whole different ballgame. So we're seeing that pendulum swing pretty hard right now back to protecting unintended emanations that could have intelligence bearing signals.
Right. So you've had a front row seat to the evolution of the ICD 705. Over the course of your career, how have you seen ICD 705 evolve in response to emerging threats and technological advancements?
Yeah, and I think, there's a lot of areas where the secure working group that puts together the tech spec document has adjusted and made corrections and things in the tech spec to be applicable for what's going on today. So, but they are constantly evaluating and addressing threats, and sometimes we need revisions that don't come quick enough, or there's a lot of confusion around certain things that don't have enough clarity. But they're overall doing a good job with that. But we still have this next one that's coming out. It's going to have a lot more clarity around the whole tempest issue. And I think that'll be good for the whole industry. I
couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Yeah. One of the most notable shifts that has been the increased emphasis on tempest and RF mitigation. How has the growing prominence of Tempest requirements changed how secure facilities are designed and constructed compared to the earlier decades?
With the process that you design these facilities, getting the CTTA is, their recommendations is critical, because obviously those have to be implemented to achieve accreditation. But what we've seen is that the recommendations from the different CTTAs, from the different IC elements, have a pretty wide range of what you might see. We've seen from anything from, just shielding on the walls, not even on the ceiling or the floor, to doing all 6 sides, walls, floor, ceiling with foil. We've seen having to put multiple layers of foil, up to 3 layers of foil, opposing directions, things like that. Whether or not you have power filtering and honeycomb waveguide vents and the ducts and the window shielding on, if you have windows in your SCIF. So more and more of those types of requirements are becoming part of the standard, part of what you're going to expect to see, where earlier years that would have been more of an exception. Now it's more the rule.
Gotcha. So looking ahead, where do you see the next major evolution in secure facility standards occurring? And how should owners, architects, and contractors start preparing today?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think probably, in my opinion, what's probably going to happen is some type of a more regular technical countermeasures testing on those facilities, where that will become a regular requirement even for continental US SCIFs. I mean, it's a regular thing for OCONUS now, but the continental US, I think, because of the prevalence of technology to exploit and the number of adversaries that are out there, it's going to become more of a regular thing to have to do that. So either the companies will probably have to employ their own experts, or there'll be companies that specialize in that, or the government will send their own people to do that. But I think the way the facilities are designed right now, there's not going to be a lot of need to change, because we've got good physical hardening with the 16 gauge studs and plywood or expanded metal. We've got good acoustic design with the STC 45 and 50. We've got good electronic systems for alarm systems, our intrusion detection, with great features and encryption and all the good stuff. So the facility in it, what we're building today, I think, is a good basis for going forward in the future. But I think potentially we may see more TSCM testing requirements.
Makes sense. Now, Mike, before I let you go, we have one final question.
Okay.
If you can give one piece of advice to an organization embarking on a new SCIF project today, what would it be?
It would be get some good education, make sure your people have gone through a course that emphasizes ICD 705 and site security management. Those are 2 key things that you want to know. I would say if you can connect with the designers who are familiar with the requirements, have been through it, contractors that have done it, getting experienced people on your team is critical to have a fast track, to accreditation. And it's always important to make sure that if you don't have the expertise in-house, go out and get it, go find it, have that brought in to help you through the process.
Absolutely. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate our conversation. Very informative, and I look forward to spending some more time with you here in the future.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.